What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KEG, and I'm in the house.
Today, we're going to be going over the worst gym mistakes that are absolutely killing your progress. These are things we've noticed from being in a gym, a lot of the nonsense we see, and even what we've seen from some of our friends alongside other peers we see in the gym and some of our clients who were struggling previously that we helped fix forward. And I just want to start this episode by saying, if you are looking to work with me one-on-one and you want to get your guaranteed results and achieve your true transformation, go ahead and click the first link in the description down below to learn more about coaching. No obligation, no commitment. You can totally just look through what we do, understand why myself and Kyle have over 4,000 transformations and why we do it so effectively and have guaranteed results. So definitely be sure to check that out. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into the worst mistakes that are killing your progress. And make sure to tune in and listen up with some good intention here, because I assure you there's a couple of these that will probably hit a little close to home. But what's good is that by calling them out, it gives us the opportunity to change and push forward. So first and foremost is the mindset of burning calories and what a hard workout actually is. It's real easy to say, I didn't have a good workout. I wasn't drenched in sweat. I didn't have a good workout. I wasn't out of breath. Oftentimes, new people come to the gym with me and they get so thrown off. Like, I try to avoid lifting with absolute newbies at this point in my life. It's just hard to have the patience for it. And I train a certain way and a certain intensity. And usually at first people say, hey, are you going to go again? Like, I'm going to go to another one because I'll take longer rests. I'll take 90 seconds. And you'd be amazed. Newer people, and if you time yourself, you might even be surprised, especially when I was personal training a lot. People 10, 20, 30 seconds, they say, let's go, let's go, let's go. And if you're truly that fresh where you could do a set 100% after 10, 20, 30 seconds, you didn't do a very hard set. I'm just going to call it out for what it is. That would not truly be a challenging set, and that would be under the parameters of the difficulty that you should be performing at. So when you train hard, you will need rest to recover to perform at the same amount of intensity. And this mindset of bopping around and just trying to burn as many calories, do as many exercises, you're going to get nowhere. That's like doing everything with your half intention. It'd be like me trying to clean my house by only going and doing two things in each room of the house. It's just dumb. It's a waste of effort. I'm going to be running around wasting energy. It just is not efficient. And this is such a common thing with new people in the gym. And they'll say, okay, I'm going to go do my own thing. And even we have a buddy who still does this to this day. I'll go say, I'm going to go do my own thing. And then I'll always say, like, hey, how's your calorie burn thing going here? What are your calories at? And I'll be at like the third of the calories that I'm at. And I burned like literally 600-700 calories from just doing two exercises, like squats and a heavy accessory to a leg day. Like, by doing those hard, and if I brought you in the gym and I made you do 3 true sets till failure of squats, which once again, that's something we'll talk about later, that isn't necessary, but that would be one of the hardest workouts of your life. It would burn you. You'd burn so many calories. It would be absolutely taxing. So you really need to rework this mindset, because just the same, people come in, say, I only have 45 minutes, so I'm going to do all the smaller movements, because we get this self confirmation that isn't correct, where if I do more exercise, it's a better workout. Whereas if Kyle were to come in, do really intentional squats, like I said, 4 killer sets, maybe it takes him 30 minutes, he will burn a lot more and get more utility than if I do adductor, abductor, hamstring curl, quad extension at 50%. I'm just going to get nowhere. I'm basically just moving at that point, whereas he is truly working his muscles and seeing change. And it's very much the same with cardio. Cardio is fun. We sweat. We get that endorphin high. It feels amazing, but it is not changing your composition. You need to start strength training, and you need to start strength training hard. And this also extends to different activities like classes, F40, Orange Theory. These are great. They're a great ability to burn some calories, to move. But the problem is we're doing universal weights. If I'm in there and I'm in there with my 120-pound wife, we're going to be using the same weights theoretically, or very close to. We're not going to be anywhere near a capacity of what we should be doing and working towards. It's not realistic. Like, it's not how that works. Me and Kyle are very different, just the same. So that's where you need to be doing your own thing, which we're going to continue to elaborate on. But lifting weights is the core, and you can't be distracted by fun classes and different events and things that are truthfully like misnomers towards your goals, that are decoys. And we have a great example. Kyle will bring it up with our buddy with pickleball.
Yeah, so basically I overheard a conversation, and actually no, didn't overhear, he was talking to us about it, and I thought it was cool because, you know, he's been getting really into pickleball, and he had said, The reason I started strength training lately was that I realized that in order to get the physique development that I want, I can't just go play pickleball every day like I was. So we started strength training 4-ish times a week, I think, which I thought was a great point because very rarely I hear someone kind of like own up to that. I'll always hear people talking about the other side where it's like, I got my workout in. I crushed pickleball today, and yeah, it's fun. Pickleball is a good time, right? You're running around, you get a little sweat going. It's competitive, but I hear very, very often like that side of the story where it's like usually people kind of talking about that, and that's usually the workout for the day. And once again, don't want to discredit exercise, but overall, in terms of building the physique you want, the strength you want, and everything like that, like you really do have to focus on the strength training and add it in as a good combination. Obviously strength training combined with cardio will develop an incredible physique overall and some amazing health benefits there. But yeah, I mean, that kind of brings me into, I like everything Josh said there, and obviously brings me into a couple different things in terms of the overall customization of workouts. And that's where, similar to what he had mentioned about F45, about a lot of these different group classes, like a lot of it is just something that's created for a whole. And that's where, like, working off of that, I see a lot of times people will copy other people's workouts, and they're doing something that's not exactly created for them. They're doing something that someone else created, someone else who has different goals, who has different abilities. And we saw it firsthand from, someone recently where they're just like, oh yeah, I'm just copying this, buddy's workout. And it gets challenging within that type of stuff because it's not actually created for you, and you really need to have something that's a customized routine. That's how you're going to see the best amount of success. And even to give you a little backstory, like when we sit down and create a workout routine, we take about 10 things into consideration. Obviously the starting photos, your past workout history, your past injuries if you have any, the time frame you have to work out, the equipment you have access to, your strengths, your weaknesses. So that's already 7 things right there that we take into consideration. Now, by you copying your one friend, and I want to also mention, if you do this like here and there, that's no problem. I know sometimes people will catch up with a buddy and they're like, hey, I already got all my other workouts in. I'm going to just, meet up with a friend and do one. That's totally fine. Like that's not going to exactly kill your progress, but it's those consistent things where you're just kind of copying someone else in the gym, you're just tagging along, you're just not doing something that's created for you. You'll still work out, and I want to mention that, but you're not going to exactly be able to see the most optimal results. And even working off of that, let's say Josh and I start to work out, we use the same squat rack. He should be doing 405 for weights. I'm usually around the 3-plate range. So I'm, let's say, going to be doing 315. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to do the same thing. It's not going to exactly work out because he's not going to be seeing the change that he needs to because he's going down to my weight. Even when we work out, I always keep track of what I should be using based off of like what he's working off of. But I find that even if there's times where I'm like, you know what, leg press, he's got 6 plates on a side, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Sometimes I'll shortchange my reps, I'll do lower quality reps, and even still for him, if he were to ever get lazy and say, you know what, whatever you have on is fine, we're just not going to see the benefits we should be because we're copying the exact same thing. So just a random thought there, and hopefully that makes sense.
Incredibly well said. It's not the move, and maybe someone looks amazing on Instagram, and I also just love the component of if Kyle just looks phenomenal at shoulders, I'm like, I just want this guy's shoulders. This guy's an animal, and he shows me a shoulder routine. You also have to consider, does this individual have these amazing shoulders because of genetics or because of this routine? It's easy to be like, this person's good looking and very fit, so they must know what they're doing, when they could have the most superior genetics, be having all these benefits, and actually not know very much of what they're doing. So that's where it's easy to be like, this person looks great, so I'm going to follow their advice. Or maybe they're adding their photos at plastic surgery, whatever. And that's where you want to really make sure you are getting advice from people who have helped other people and have helped people in all different situations, shapes, circumstance, all these different things. That is a big consideration to have. And that's where just following someone else's workout is really going to shoot you in the foot. And it's not going to be realistic. It's not going to be something you can build off of. And just switching around, always looking for a new workout, the new best thing, doesn't allow you to become masterful in any specific plan. That's why you need a plan made for you, and this is something we specialize in because it's going to target your weak spots. We're going to be able to build up your strong spots. We're going to work on any postural issues you have, any injuries, to work through that, and really, most importantly, to work towards your specific goals and to make sure you are getting better and better with them as time goes on. And just the same, another big mistake I'll see is people missing and just avoiding the hard movements. It's fun being on the adductor machine. It's easy. It's not challenging, and it's not challenging for a reason because it isn't very hard. It's not working as much of your muscles at the same intensity, whereas barbell squats are freaking hard for a reason. There's a lot of stability involved in them, a lot of mobility, a lot of strength, and it's a great capacity to train really hard. They suck, they're hard, but they need to get done. And a good routine will encompass some of these things that are brutal, but also they'll do it intelligently. We're not just doing things that are killing you where you're dreading the gym and you're getting some gaps in there. Maybe you are getting a breath where you want to work on some adduction. So you do have 3 sets of adductors to pace yourself in between heavy movements like barbell squats and barbell hip thrusts. And that's where like a song, it's not always going to be at a chorus or it's going to drive you insane. It'll go through different ebbs and flows. And a great routine is just very much the same way. So with all these things into consideration, you need to be on a good periodized routine that uses progressive overload, that is approaching the correct amount of volume for you, preferably working towards more of an MED. So you're maximizing, obviously, not being in the gym excessively. So MED is minimal effective dose. So it's just what you need to get enough progress without being in the gym for a million years. And encompassing all these things is going to get you those better results faster. So that was a big one. And I think adding on top of that, another point I really wanted to mention is just being inconsistent. Like if you train hard one week and then you don't go for a few weeks, you're going to get destroyed from that person who is maybe being consistent with like an F40 or something like that, where they're going there consistently, and that does lack some component of progressive overload. And that's a whole nother debate, but it's really important more than anything you do be consistent. And it's hard too. Sometimes when it gets busy, you're like, oh, I have less time, so I'll do 30 minutes of Stairmaster instead of a 30-minute workout. You need the main thing to be the main thing. You want to focus on that hard thing, what you know is going to be a mover, what you know is going to push you forward. That is where emphasis must lie. So that is one extra thing I want to keep in mind. So my tips towards consistency are setting that time in the calendar. I mentioned on the Monday episode, if you tuned in for us there, hope is not a strategy. If I say I'm going to get to the gym at some point today, my day is going to take over. I'm not going to get there, and I'm going to end up sleeping going, I should have went to the gym. And that whole day I'm going to be feeling horrible that I didn't make it there. Whereas if the night before I got a gap 3 to 4, it makes sense with my commute. I can get it in there. I know when I'm going, and it's going to hold me accountable to it. And I even love the extra little bonus tip of pretending you're going to be meeting your favorite gym inspo there, whoever that is, Arnold, Chris Bumstead, Kyle Grondin, any of these legends, whoever you're going to be meeting there, just say, I will not let this person down. I'm going to show up and I'm going to make a point to be sure I am indeed going to get there. And I find that is a great little extra bonus. And then even adding on that too, like, maybe if you're not where you want to be, you don't have that confidence yet, don't care what other people think. Don't care. I've heard people say I'm too small to do this exercise. I don't want to take a bench press because I only bench a plate and there's other dudes in there that are stronger than me. Like, you're on your journey. You got to get in there and be proud of it. Don't not do movements because maybe they look a little bit sillier or they're a little bit harder. I know people say I'm not going to do a glute pull through because it looks weird. I'm not going to do the ab crunch because it's silly and I'm on the floor. Like, once again, get over your ego. No one cares more about how you look in the gym than yourself. So you got to get past it. And by eliminating that, you're going to see better results.
Absolutely. Very well said. And the next one that I'm going to say, very common mistake and something that I should personally be focused on doing better at as well, is just like simply being on your phone too much. And the issue with being on your phone too much, and once again, something that is like my main thing I need to get better at in terms of the gym. I feel like everything else I'm like really good at. This is the one thing I could do better at, is putting on airplane mode or just putting on do not disturb or just not checking like certain apps. Those are obviously great tips that I think can help. And is the main, your mindset's not there, right? So even if you're taking your rest, let's say a minute's your typical sweet spot, I find, and once again, I know this because it happens to me, I'll be resting, let's say between squats, but then I check something and then my mindset goes all over the place. And then you see something else is going on here and then you see a news article. And anyways, you get the point, is that when you get back into your next set, your mind's, who knows, you haven't been really focused on your workout, you haven't been present, you haven't been looking around. And that's why a lot of times you'll actually hear me and Josh as well talking about what we see in the gym. It's because I find that whenever I'm trying to like become super focused and I'm like looking around, it actually really helps me out because I'm focused on what other, what else is happening in the gym. I'm learning new exercises, I'm learning new talking points for a future video, I'm getting motivation. I see a dude benching 3 plates over there for sets of whatever it is, and I'm on the bench press. I'm like, okay, let's go. I see some great intensity. Obviously, though I do mainly noticed, like, for the most part, a lot of like just like heavy phone use. And once again, it's also one thing to differentiate, like if you do use it between sets, you set your timer, you don't give yourself any extra time, like still you could probably do better from not doing that and just be more present. However, what I do notice is like the main killer, especially for the gym that I go to, is like heavy phone usage. Like, and I'm talking phone call, you've got the machine and you're going to sit there for 10 minutes while someone else is waiting. Like, you haven't done a set and your intensity is just a level like 1 out of 10. So once again, there's 2 levels of it. I'm more on the level where it's like I'll still use it a little bit, but I could definitely do way better. And then there's the other times, like the real estate agents are taking calls, they're doing their deals, they're just like, they're just not working out at all. They're just there and they're present in the gym, but they're actually not doing anything. So anyways, let's try to avoid it. Use these tips. Another thing is just, and I love this that Josh put in here, is doing a weight that's good enough. Such a common mistake, because like you can feel like it's good enough, and he said this to me too, and I was like, man, that's powerful, around 70%. Like, let's say you have the capacity to do 30% more, you'll still feel like you're doing a challenging weight, even if it's like 30% less than what you could be doing, because it still challenges you a little bit. So like mentally you're like, oh, I'm crushing it, like this is an intense weight, but you could do like 20 to 30 pounds more, 20 to 30% more. And this is something that can hold you back because it just doesn't allow you to progress. And I know he has a couple other things, but I thought that was a very, very good point to mention as well.
Yeah, like when I deload, sometimes I'll deload at like 70% typically, and I'll do a smaller capacity what I normally do. And sometimes I'm like, this is still hard. What the heck? I feel like I'm almost at my RERs. Like subconsciously, I can see how that can be a mistake. And that is where I do recommend going to failure at least once for each movement at some point. I'm not saying doing it every set. That's going to tax you out. It isn't essential. Being at like that RER 2, 8 out of 10, you're still going to get bulk of the gains. Like you'll see 95% of the result with about 50% less of the fatigue. So it is a great way to balance it. But when we truly go to failure, we go, wow, I was capable to do this. So if you're supposed to be doing 3x8 and you're like, let's see what failure is, and you end up doing 20 reps, that weight is way too low and you've been selling yourself short. And this is the easiest way to not develop muscle, to see way less results, and to really shoot yourself in the foot. And that's where I can't recommend that more, because you need to actually make sure that an RAR 2, so reps in reserve, is truly 2. That's why I always joke, like, gun to your head, what could you do? Like, that is how you know failure. That is the difference between like, ooh, this was kind of hard. And when I'd first PT people all the time, they'd be like, okay, I'm done. I'm like, what do you mean? You could do like 80 more sets of this. We're upping your weight and we're doing more reps. Like, so that's where it's really important you're aware of this. And that's where like going to failure has its place. And then once you do this, you can advance into actually making a point to up your weights as that 3x8 becomes easier. And you're like, I could do 12 reps. So, once again, you have way more capacity. It's like an RAR 4. That's where you would up that weight and kind of see your point. And once again, like, that's where you always do really want to be challenging yourself here. And this is the easiest place to sell yourself short. You'd be like, oh, 100 is a good weight, so I'm just going to do that. But you got to truly know what your weights are. And if you struggle with this, I highly recommend tracking your weights. You can use an app like Rep Count's good, Strong's good app, Notes just in your phone is fantastic. Even bringing in a notepad is another resource. But these are the biggest things I see in the gym that I would say is really killing results. And I'm sure there was something here that probably called you out. So get out there, change it. And when you change it, I look forward to hearing about the improved, better results you've got. And if you want to get guaranteed results by working with me one-on-one, I'm going to be there to maximize your nutrition, your training, your accountability, your planning, to get you the results you truly deserve and a transformation you deserve. Because I'm telling you, being your fittest, healthiest, happiest self transcends into everything, into your family, your relationships, your happiness. You deserve to feel your best. You got one body, you're carrying it around, invest in it, and I promise you I will get you those results you deserve. You can click the first link in these show notes to see more about my coaching, why I've transformed over 4,000 people, and why I have guaranteed transformation. So thanks for tuning in. Check that out, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.